Rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the penthouse loft. Neon signs from the street below cast pink and blue shadows across exposed brick walls. She stood in the doorway wearing ripped black jeans, an oversized vintage band tee, and scuffed Converse. Her hair was still damp from the storm. He sat on a leather couch in the corner, dressed in a black turtleneck and tailored joggers, designer sneakers kicked off beside him. Tattoos snaked up his forearms. A half-empty energy drink sat on the glass coffee table. "You're late," he said without looking up from his phone. Traffic was insane. She dropped her tote bag. "Can we just get this over with?" He finally looked at her. Dark circles under his eyes. Sharp jawline. The kind of face that belonged on magazine covers and therapy bills. "Sit." She crossed her arms. "I'll stand." "Suit yourself." He tossed his phone aside. "My sister's wedding is in 3 days. Destination: Bali. 5-star resort. Open bar. You come as my +1, act like we're together, and I pay off your student loans. All of them." Her stomach dropped. "That's like 80 grand. 82. I checked. How did you? I have resources." He stood, moving to the window. City lights reflected in his dark eyes. "You need money. I need someone who won't catch feelings or leak stories to the press. Clean transaction." She bit her lip. "Why me?" He turned. "Because you already hate me." The words hung in the air between them. True. She'd hated him since freshman year when he'd humiliated her best friend at a party. Since he'd coasted through college on daddy's money while she worked 3 jobs. Since he'd gotten everything handed to him. "What's the catch?" she asked. "No catch. You show up. You smile. You let me kiss you once during the ceremony. Then you disappear from my life forever." Her heart pounded. $82,000. Freedom. No more shifts at the coffee shop. No more panic attacks over bills. One kiss. One kiss. She should have said no. Should have walked out. Instead, she heard herself whisper, "When do we leave?" Something flickered across his face. Surprise maybe. Or regret. "Tomorrow morning. 6 a.m. Pack light. Pack expensive. My family can smell poor from a mile away." The insult should have stung. But she was too focused on the tremor in his hands as he picked up his drink. "Why are you really doing this?" she asked. His jaw clenched. "Because my ex is the maid of honor. And I need her to see that I've moved on. Finally." "Truth." "You haven't moved on," she said. "No." His voice cracked. "I haven't." The vulnerability lasted 3 seconds before his mask slammed back into place. 6 a.m. Don't be late. He walked past her toward the bedroom. "Guest room is down the hall. Stay the night. We fly private." "I didn't agree to." "You did the second you walked through that door." He was right. She had. As she stood alone in his luxury loft, staring at the city below, her phone buzzed. A Venmo notification. $10,000. From him. A text followed, "Deposit. Buy something that doesn't scream scholarship kid. The rest comes after." Her hands shook with rage and relief and something else she refused to name. This was a mistake. But $82,000 was $82,000. She grabbed her bag and headed for the guest room, not noticing him watching from the shadows of the hallway, jaw tight, eyes haunted, wondering what the hell he'd just set in motion. Bali hit different at sunrise. The resort was all white marble, infinity pools, and privilege. She stepped off the private jet wearing a linen jumpsuit he'd had delivered to her apartment, hair in a messy bun, gold hoops catching the light. Expensive sunglasses hid her exhaustion. He walked beside her in a cream button-down with rolled sleeves, black shorts, and leather sandals. His tattoos were fully visible now. A compass on his wrist. Roman numerals on his ribcage. Something written in script she couldn't read. "Stay close," he muttered as they approached the villa. "My family are sharks." The wedding party was already by the pool. Champagne. Laughter. Designer everything. His sister spotted them first. "Kai." She ran over, blonde hair perfect, white sundress flowing. Then she saw the girl beside him. Her smile faltered. "Oh. You brought someone." "Maya, this is Reese." His hand found the small of her back. Warm. Possessive. Practiced. "Reese, my sister Maya." Reese forced a smile. "Congrats on the wedding." Maya's eyes scanned her head to toe. Calculating. Judging. "Thank you. How long have you two been?" "4 months, Kai said smoothly. A lie. They'd barely survived 4 hours. Then she appeared. The ex-tall, modelesque, wearing a coral bikini and confidence-like armor. Her eyes locked on Kai. "Wow. Didn't think you'd actually show up." Kai's hand tightened on Reese's back. "Sienna. And you brought a date. How cute." Sienna's smile was poison. "What's your name again?" "Reese." "Reese. Right. Where'd you two meet?" "Let me guess. Some networking event? Or did Daddy set this up?" Reese felt Kai tense beside her. Felt the rage building under his skin. "We met at a protest," Reese said before she could stop herself. "He was taking photos for his documentary series. I was yelling about corporate greed. He asked for my number. I told him to earn it." Silence. Then Kai laughed. Actually laughed. "She made me volunteer at a food bank for 2 weeks before she'd even text me back." The story was completely fake. But something in his eyes said he wished it was real. Sienna's smile cracked. "How progressive. Anyway, I need to steal Maya." Bridesmaid emergency. She grabbed his sister's arm and disappeared. The second they were alone, Kai's hand dropped from Reese's back. "That was impressive," he said quietly. "That was survival." They were given a villa on the edge of the property. 1 bedroom. King bed. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. Reese stared at the single bed. "I'll take the couch," Kai said, already grabbing a pillow. "It's your family's resort. And you're doing me a favor." He wouldn't look at her. "Besides, I don't sleep much anyway." That night, she woke to voices outside. Kai and someone else. She crept to the window. He stood on the balcony with Sienna. She was crying. "You can't just show up here with some random girl and pretend. She's not random. You don't even love her." Silence. "I loved you," Kai said, voice breaking. "I gave you everything. And you chose him. He was your best friend, Kai. It just happened." "It didn't just happen." His voice rose. "You slept with him while I was burying my mom." Reese's breath caught. "That was 2 years ago," Sienna whispered. "You have to move on." "I am. That's why I brought her." Sienna stepped closer. "Then why do you keep calling me at 3 a.m.? Why do you still have my number saved under home?" Kai said nothing. "This thing with that girl is fake," Sienna said. "I can tell. You're hurting yourself trying to hurt me. You don't know anything about her." "I know she's not me." "Good. You broke me, Sienna. She won't. Sienna kissed him. Hard. Desperate. And for 3 terrible seconds, he kissed her back. Then he shoved her away. Get out. Kai. Get the hell out. Sienna left. Kai stood alone, hands shaking, tears on his face. Reese stepped back from the window before he could see her. Her chest ached. This wasn't part of the deal. His pain wasn't supposed to be her problem. But as she climbed back into bed, she heard him come inside. Heard him break down in the bathroom. Heard him try to muffle the sound. And she realized she was in way deeper than $82,000 could cover. The wedding rehearsal was held on the beach at sunset. Reese wore a sage green slip dress, hair down, bare feet in the sand. Kai stood beside her in linen pants and a half-unbuttoned white shirt, aviator sunglasses hiding whatever he was feeling. They hadn't spoken since last night. Since Sienna. Since the kiss that shouldn't have happened. You okay? Reese finally asked. Fine. You're a terrible liar. He almost smiled. So are you. The rehearsal started. Kai's sister walked the aisle with her fiancé, some tech bro named Preston who kept checking his phone. The sunset was perfect. The moment was perfect. Everything was aggressively perfect. Except Sienna kept staring at Kai. After the rehearsal, there was a bonfire. Drinks. Music. Kai's father approached them. Tall, silver hair, expensive watch. The kind of man who owned people. So you're the girl who finally caught my son's attention. His smile didn't reach his eyes. What do you do, Reese? I'm finishing my master's in social work. Social work. He said it like it was a disease. And you two met at a protest, I heard? She was trying to change the world, Kai said. I was trying to document it. His father laughed. Cold. Sharp. My son the artist. Still playing with cameras while his trust fund collects dust. He turned to Reese. Has he told you he dropped out of the family business? Abandoned everything I built? Reese felt Kai tense. He told me he's building something that actually matters. The words came out harder than she intended. But Kai's father just smirked. Idealism. How refreshing. He walked away. Kai grabbed Reese's hand and pulled her toward the water, away from everyone. You didn't have to do that, he said. He's a jerk. He's my father. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. Kai laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was broken but real. God, you're nothing like. Like Sienna? He froze. You heard last night. I heard. Then you know this whole thing is pathetic. I'm paying someone to pretend to care about me so my ex can see I've moved on, except I haven't moved on and now she's kissing me and I'm still. He stopped. Ran his hands through his hair. I'm a mess. Yeah. You are. He looked at her. Really looked. Why are you still here? $82,000. That's the only reason. The question hung between them. The ocean crashed. The bonfire glowed in the distance. Reese should have said yes. Should have kept the wall up. I don't know anymore, she whispered. Something shifted in his face. He stepped closer. Close enough that she could smell his cologne. See the gold flecks in his dark eyes. This wasn't supposed to get complicated, he said. I know. But it is. I know. He touched her face. Gentle. Careful. Like she might break. Tell me to stop. She should have. Instead, she kissed him. It was nothing like she expected. Soft at first, then desperate. His hands in her hair. Her hands on his chest. Two broken people trying to feel something real. When they pulled apart, both were breathing hard. That wasn't part of the deal, she said. No. It wasn't. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Check his Venmo history. Ask him about the others. Her blood went cold. What others? Kai's face went pale. Reese. She opened Venmo. Scrolled through his transactions. There were names. Girls' names. Payments labeled wedding date, family dinner, Christmas party. 6 different girls over 2 years. Her stomach dropped. You've done this before. It's not what you think. You've paid girls to pretend to date you? Her voice rose. How many, Kai? It doesn't matter. How many? 7. Including you. 7. He grabbed her shoulders. But none of them were. She shoved him away. Were what? Real? You just kissed me and you've done this 6 other times? They were arrangements. Transactions. None of them, he looked at her with desperate eyes. None of them were you. I can't believe I actually started to, she stopped. Couldn't say it. The money. Wire it tonight. I'm leaving first thing tomorrow. Please don't. You used me. Just like you used them. Just like your ex used you. Her voice broke. We're all just transactions to you. That's not fair. Isn't it? She started walking back toward the villa. He followed. Reese, wait. Don't. Just send the money and leave me alone. She made it to the villa and slammed the door. Locked it. Slid down against the wood and finally let herself cry. Outside, Kai stood frozen. Behind him, Sienna emerged from the shadows, phone in her hand. Smiling. Told you she wasn't real, Sienna said. Told you it would blow up in your face. Kai turned to her slowly. You sent that text. She deserved to know the truth. You're unbelievable. I'm trying to protect you. You destroyed me. His voice cracked. And now you're destroying the one thing that felt real. Real? Kai, you paid her. Because I'm terrified. He was yelling now. Because every person I've ever loved has left and I didn't know how else to have someone stay. Sienna stepped back, genuine shock on her face. I paid them because at least that way, I knew the ending, Kai continued, quieter now. At least that way, I was in control. But her? He looked at the closed door. I wasn't in control at all. And that scared me more than being alone. So what now? Sienna asked. Now I fix this. He walked toward the villa. And you stay the hell away from both of us. Inside, Reese heard him knock. Heard him sit down against the door. Heard him start talking. I know you're listening, he said through the wood. And I know I messed up. But I need you to hear this. Reese sat on the other side of the door, knees pulled to her chest, wearing one of his hoodies she'd found in the closet. Outside, Kai's voice was raw. Honest. Wrecked. My mom died during my sophomore year, he started. Cancer. Fast. One day she was fine, next day she wasn't. I came home from spring break and she was just gone. Reese closed her eyes. Listening. Sienna and I had been together for 3 years. I thought she was it. I thought she'd help me through it. His voice cracked. Instead, she slept with my best friend while I was planning the funeral. I found them together. In my apartment. In my bed. Her chest ached. After that, I couldn't do it anymore, he continued. Couldn't trust anyone. Couldn't let anyone in. So I hired people. Paid them to fill the space at family events. To make me look normal. To keep my dad from asking questions. He paused. It was easier to pay someone to leave than to watch them choose to. Silence. Then I saw you at the coffee shop 6 months ago, he said quietly. You were arguing with some guy about tipping. You called him out for being cheap. You weren't scared. You weren't performative. You were just real. Reese remembered that day. Some tech bro being rude to her coworker. I looked you up. Found out about your loans. Your jobs. Your life. His voice was thick. And I thought maybe if I paid you, I could keep you at a distance. Keep myself safe. That's messed up, she said through the door. I know. You should have just asked me out like a normal person. I'm not normal. I'm broken. So am I. The confession hung in the air. She opened the door slowly. He was sitting against the frame, eyes red, cheeks wet. He looked up at her. My dad left when I was 6, Reese said, sitting down beside him. My mom worked 3 jobs to keep us afloat. She died my freshman year. Heart attack. I couldn't afford to fly home for the funeral. Her voice shook. So yeah. I get being broken. Kai reached for her hand. She let him. The money, she said. I need it. But not like this. I'll wire it anyway. No conditions. Kai. You've earned it. Just by sitting here. Just by listening. He looked at her. Just by being real when everyone else in my life is fake. What about the wedding tomorrow? I'll tell Maya the truth. That I hired you. That I messed up. That I'm sorry. He stood. You can leave tonight. I'll cover the story. She should have taken the out. Should have run. But something in his eyes stopped her. What if I stay? She asked. He froze. What? What if I stay for the wedding? Not for the money. Not for the deal. She stood, facing him. What if I stay because I want to? Why would you want to? Because you kissed me on that beach and it felt real. Because you're sitting here crying and being honest instead of hiding behind your bank account. She stepped closer. Because maybe we're both tired of being alone. This is insane, he whispered. Probably. We barely know each other. I know you take your coffee black. I know you tap your foot when you're nervous. I know you haven't slept in 2 years. She touched his face. I know you're terrified of being left. So am I. He kissed her. Different from the beach. Slower. Deeper. Like he was trying to memorize her. When they pulled apart, his phone buzzed. A text from Maya, Dad wants to see you. Now. It's about the will. Kai's face went white. No. What's wrong? He's cutting me off. I know he is. The trust fund. The family money. Everything. He sat on the bed, head in his hands. He's been threatening it for years because I won't work for the company. Then let him. Reese, that's millions. That's his control over you. She knelt in front of him. You said you wanted to build something that matters. So do it. Without his money. Without his approval. I can't. Yes, you can. She grabbed his face. You're not the guy who pays people to stick around. You're the guy who volunteers at food banks and documents protests and cries about his mom. That guy doesn't need daddy's money. You don't understand what you're asking. I understand perfectly. You have to choose. His money and his control, or your freedom and your soul. He stared at her. If I walk away, I lose everything. Not everything. She kissed him softly. Not me. The words landed like bombs. Both of them felt it. The shift. The commitment. The terrifying reality that this was no longer fake. Okay, he whispered. Okay. They went to see his father together. The man sat in the villa's master suite, contracts spread across the desk. His lawyer beside him. Kai. Good. Sign these. His father pushed papers forward. Return to the company. Drop this photography nonsense. Or you're out of the will. Effective immediately. Kai looked at the contracts. At his father. At Reese. Then he picked up a pen. Reese's heart sank. But instead of signing, Kai wrote one word across the papers, "No." "I'm done," Kai said. "Done with your money. Done with your control. Done pretending to be someone I'm not." His father's face went red. "You'll regret this." "Maybe. But at least I'll regret it as myself." He grabbed Reese's hand. "Let's go." They walked out together. Behind them, his father's voice, "You're throwing away your future for some girl." "No," Kai called back. "I'm choosing my future." Finally. Outside, Reese stopped him. "You just gave up millions of dollars." "I know." "For what?" "For me. For us. For the chance that this could be real." He pulled her close. Was that the wrong move? She kissed him instead of answering. Kissed him until they were both breathless. Until the resort lights blurred. Until nothing existed except them. When they finally pulled apart, she whispered, "We're insane." Completely. He laughed. "I have like $8,000 in my personal account and a half-finished documentary about urban gardens. I have $82,000 in student loans and a degree in helping people. We're a disaster. The worst." They stood there, holding each other, poor and free and terrified and alive. Tomorrow was the wedding. Tomorrow, they'd face his family's judgment. Tomorrow, they'd figure out what came next. But tonight, they were just two broken people who'd chosen each other over everything else. And somehow, that was enough. The wedding ceremony happened at noon on the beach. White chairs. White flowers. White lies. Reese sat in the back row wearing a simple yellow sundress, hair in loose waves, no makeup. Kai stood with the groomsmen in a navy suit, white shirt, no tie. He looked tired. Free. Different. His family whispered. About the scene with his father. About the girl in the cheap dress. About the trust fund he'd just torched. Sienna stood at the altar in a rose gold bridesmaid dress, looking smug. She'd won, she thought. She'd broken them up. She'd proven Reese was just another transaction. She had no idea what happened after. The ceremony started. Maya walked down the aisle. Preston waited at the altar, still checking his phone. The officiant began. "If anyone objects to this union, speak now or forever hold your peace." Silence. Then Preston's phone buzzed. Loudly. He checked it. His face went pale. "I'm sorry," he said to Maya. "I have to take this." He stepped away from the altar. Actually stepped away. In the middle of his own wedding. Maya stood there, bouquet shaking, mascara starting to run. "Preston?" He was already walking toward the resort. Phone pressed to his ear. "The Tokyo deal is falling apart. I have to. It's our wedding. Babe, this is a $40 million deal. I'm your fiancé." Preston stopped. Turned. And in front of everyone said, "Maya, be realistic. This was always going to be a partnership. Business first." The gasps were instant. Maya's face crumpled. Kai moved before anyone else could. He walked up the aisle, took off his suit jacket, and draped it over his sister's shoulders. "He's not worth it," Kai said quietly. "He never was. But the wedding is over. And you're free." He looked at Preston. "Get out. You can't kick me out of. This is my family's resort. And you're done here." Security appeared. Preston was escorted out, still yelling about contracts and deals and business. Maya collapsed into Kai's arms, sobbing. Their father stood frozen, for once speechless. An hour later, the reception happened anyway. Maya insisted. "I'm not wasting this venue," she said, eyes red but voice steady. "We're having a party. A freedom party." The bar opened. Music played. Kai found Reese sitting by the pool, feet in the water. "Hey," he said, sitting beside her. "Hey. Your sister okay?" "She will be. Eventually." He stared at the water. "I got a call from a gallery. They want to show my documentary series. 3-month exhibition. No payment, but exposure." "Kai, that's amazing. It's also in Prague." Her stomach dropped. "Prague? I leave in 2 weeks." He finally looked at her. "Come with me." "What?" "I know it's crazy. I know we barely know each other. But I have enough saved for 2 plane tickets and a tiny apartment. You can work remotely on your thesis. We can eat cheap food and explore the city and figure this out without my family breathing down our necks. You're asking me to move to Prague with you? I'm asking you to take a chance. On us. On something real." He took her hand. "No contracts. No conditions. No money exchanged. Just 2 people seeing where this goes." Reese's heart was racing. This was insane. Reckless. The opposite of every plan she'd made. "What about my loans? We'll figure it out together. What about my apartment? Sublet it. What about Reese?" He cupped her face. "What about us?" She looked into his eyes. Saw the fear. The hope. The desperate need to be chosen without conditions. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay? Okay, I'll come to Prague." She laughed through tears. "I'll eat cheap food and live in a tiny apartment and figure out this insane thing with you." He kissed her. Soft and sweet and real. Around them, the party continued. His family whispered. Sienna watched from across the pool, face unreadable. When they pulled apart, Reese said, "We're going to crash and burn, aren't we?" "Probably." He grinned. "But at least we'll burn together." That night, they packed 2 suitcases. No plans. No safety net. Just 2 broken people choosing each other. Maya found them before they left. She hugged Kai hard. "Thank you for standing up for me," she said. "Always." She turned to Reese. "Take care of him. He's an idiot, but he's my idiot." "I will." "And Reese?" Maya smiled. "You're the first girl he's brought home who didn't feel like a performance. Thank you for being real." At the airport 2 weeks later, Reese stood at the gate wearing ripped jeans, an oversized hoodie, and Kai's aviators. He wore black jeans, a vintage band tee, and carried his camera bag. "Last chance to back out," he said. "Not a chance." They boarded the plane holding hands. Neither knew what Prague would bring. Neither knew if they'd make it. But they knew they were choosing it together. As the plane took off, Reese whispered, "No regrets?" Kai squeezed her hand. "Only one." "What?" "That I didn't just ask you out 6 months ago like a normal person." She laughed. "You're not normal." No. But I'm yours. Yeah. She kissed him softly. You are. 3 months later, Kai's documentary went viral. A gallery in New York called. Then LA. Then London. Reese finished her thesis from a tiny Prague apartment with crooked floors and a view of the river. They ate street food and argued about movies and made love on a second-hand mattress. It wasn't perfect. They fought. They struggled. They learned each other's damage and chose to stay anyway. But it was real. Messy and complicated and absolutely real. And on a random Tuesday morning, as they sat in a cafe drinking terrible coffee, Kai looked at her and said, "I love you." Just like that. No build-up. No performance. Reese smiled. I know. I've known since Bali. Why didn't you say anything? Because you needed to figure it out yourself. She reached across the table. But for the record? I love you too. He kissed her hand. Best $82,000 I never spent. She laughed. You're an idiot. You're idiot. Yeah. Mine. Outside, Prague moved on. Inside, two people who'd started as a transaction discovered something neither expected. Something real. Something chosen. Something worth more than any amount of money. And that was enough. That was everything. The end.